Kanarra Falls is one of the most beautiful waterfalls you can hike to in all of Utah. The trail is basically right off Highway 15 running through the middle of the state, and because of how popular it's got over the years, you do have to buy a permit in advance. It's well worth the effort to hike to this special spot though, and here's all the information on the hike to Kanarra Falls. They only issue 200 permits a day and it fills up quickly in the summer months. After securing a permit, head to the trailhead where there's a large parking lot, and then you'll walk past someone who will check your permit before you start the hike.
Here with Pops in Utah, and we are hiking to Kanarra Falls. We got a pretty late start. We came in about 6.5 hours from Southern California, and there's definitely no shade right now.
The trail starts by immediately heading uphill on a dirt fire road.
Hike at your own risk.
When you reach the top of this section, it'll wind around the hillside and start to make its way down towards the water.
We have made it to our first water crossing, and as you can see, there's no way to hop across, so you just gotta be prepared to get wet on this hike.
The hike is 4 miles round trip with about 700 feet of elevation gain, and I highly recommend bringing some water shoes and even some neoprene socks for the water in the early springtime. After crossing the water in the beginning, you head uphill and you actually don't get in the water again for a little while. I do want to give one more reminder that if you're doing this hike in the summer, it's going to be very hot, and I would start really early and bring a lot of water. As you continue to follow the access road back into the canyon, it gets more beautiful with the creek right alongside you.
We're at about a mile in and we have our second water crossing. Looks a little bit muddy. Pops navigating the water crossing. He won't roll up his pants. He's too cool for that. All right, we're about 1.1 miles in and we are officially leaving the road and heading back towards the canyon. Be sure to follow all of these rules if you're coming back here.
I would say that the trail is relatively boring for the first mile or so outside of a couple viewpoints. But once you leave the road, it starts to get really exciting as you head back towards the Slot Canyon.
From here, the terrain gets a little challenging as you're going in and out of the water.
From this point on, you should prepare to be wet as the trail goes alongside the water a lot, but it also crosses over the water a lot as well.
I thought we'd be more in the water by now, but there's actually a trail basically the whole time that goes around it.
Because of how much traffic the trail gets, it's actually pretty easy to follow, or at least it was when we went in the early spring. Pops wanted to let everyone know that he recommends bringing a hiking pole, especially if you're not sure with your footing, as it's much easier to navigate the water sections with a hiking pole.
We haven't even made it into the main Slot Canyon part yet, but this is beautiful. I think the best bet is probably just to walk into the river and just take little short trails off to the right.
This is gorgeous in here. And then look, here we go. It starts right here.
Woo! Incredible.
It definitely gets more narrow as it heads back, but in this section you're still about 20 to 25 feet across. As you continue back though, you do have to start going uphill to get around some of the small waterfalls that are on the trail.
We're taking a snack break here. We're almost to the waterfall, but one of the things that I realized is that I thought you were going to be hiking in the water basically the entire time, and we haven't hardly been in the water at all, so just kind of going in and out of it, which is nice, and it allows you to hike a lot faster. There are flies that bite here though, which is not super fun. All right, I don't really see any trail at the moment, so I think we're entering the water.
This is a little challenging. It's not for everybody because there's lots of ups and downs and stuff over rocks. So
it's very hard to see how deep it is. So the best thing to do is to kind of look for this red section, which you know is sand, because it's hard to see how deep it is over there.
Josh is desperately hoping I'll fall.
I don't want you to fall.
I'll give him some adventure, some excitement.
Definitely do not do that.
Some excitement. Ah!
I don't want to carry you back.
When we went, they said the water was around 37 degrees, and once you get to these trees that are hanging over the side, you'll know you're almost at the Slot Canyon.
Whoa, we have made it to the Slot Canyon! Oh my gosh, that is so cool!
Wow.
Look at that Slot Canyon we're about to enter.
That is It's definitely a slot canyon.
Are you a little nervous?
Oh,
Pops is entering the slot canyon.
The beginning of the slot canyon as you head to the first waterfall is only about 1/10 of a mile, but walking over the rushing water into the canyon is a sight to behold.
I hear a waterfall.
this is incredible.
This is incredible. I've been wanting to see this for so long, and it's just as cool as I thought it would be.
At about 1.5 miles, you'll make it to the first waterfall, which is about 20 feet tall and has a ladder that you can climb right next to it to get to the top. Once you make it to the top, the trail is no longer maintained, but you can continue back to a second waterfall and then past that to a third waterfall.
Pops is seeing how deep the water is right there. Hey, there you are. That's how deep the second waterfall is. In order to get to the third waterfall, you have to climb up here, so I'm gonna try it, but Pops is gonna stay down here.
While it's not that difficult to climb to the second waterfall, it is very slippery with the water rushing over the rocks, and I'm sure there are different times in the year where the water is rushing too much to even climb up here.
Get you in that slot canyon. So from that little boulder you climb up, it's less than 1/4 of a mile to get to the last waterfall.
Hiking to the last waterfall is definitely not for everyone. Once you make it to the top of the big rock and start to head back, there's a lot more water crossings, and the water was rushing a lot more back here than it was previously. You're basically walking in the water the entire way and then scrambling over some small rocks to get over some of the little waterfalls.
There's so many waterfalls on this trail. They just keep coming. All right, we have one more slot canyon we're entering, and the waterfall is at the very end. This one definitely looks like it's gonna be a little deeper, but we'll see, I guess.
It was less than 1/10 of a mile to get to the last waterfall, but there was no trail here like there was previously, so you had knee-deep water that was rushing past you, and you had to kind of maneuver over some of these bigger rocks in order to make your way back. Once you reach the waterfall, it's about 10 feet tall, and it's a nice end to this trail with no real way to continue forward.
That's the official end of the trail. Now we're heading back. That part was definitely a lot more challenging. The water was rushing. You had to navigate a little bit more crazy sections. So be prepared to get wet if you go up there. And you could just stay down and see the waterfall at the front. You won't really miss too much. This is definitely the most challenging part. We got to navigate this boulder. Try not to get too wet to get back to Pops.
As you make your way out of the slot canyon, be sure to take your time, stop at the different waterfalls, especially the one with the stairs, and then you just follow the same path all the way back to the car.
This is really cool. This is just a beautiful spot. And this ending spot, even with the sun, is just gorgeous in here. Yeah.
You recommend it?
Oh my gosh, yeah. For the older people, it's a little challenging at times getting in here, but yeah, if you can do it, it's fabulous.
I agree. It is absolutely amazing. You have to do it. Get a permit. Come and do it. We'll see you on the next one.